What's going on, all you brainiacs out there? Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Laboratory YouTube channel. I am the king of trade, Shane Palma, bringing you today my 4 sleepers for Week 11. Got a lot of awesome stuff to get to today. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe right down below. Leave a like, leave a comment, and of course, you can follow us on Twitter at FF Laboratory. We're happy to answer all of your guys' questions going into Week 11 and beyond. Let's get started. Starting us off is probably a shock to most people, but I believe Kerryon Johnson might be in for more work than fantasy managers are realizing. Lions running back coach Kyle Kasky came out this week and said that he expects Johnson, not Adrian Peterson, to take on the role Swift has been handling for the Detroit offense. Since being relegated to quote-unquote backup, AP has posted 3 games of 5, 8, and 4 rush attempts. And while Johnson hasn't done much more on the ground, 0, 4, and 1 rush attempts in his last 3, the passing work has still kept him relevant in the offense. My prediction is that Johnson will ultimately outtouch Peterson against Carolina's 29th ranked run defense and finish as a low-end RB2 with the potential to have a huge boom game. When healthy, Johnson has proven to be a reliable bell cow back, and I think he'll take advantage of that opportunity given to him on Sunday. Consider Johnson a boomer bust flex option. Next up is Miami Dolphins wide receiver Jakeem Grant Sr., who stepped up in a big way last week in place of the injured Preston Williams. Grant saw his highest snap count percentage by a wide margin against the Chargers, while catching 4 of his 5 targets for 43 yards and a touchdown. With Tua Tagovailoa getting more accustomed to the offense each week, it will be important for him to establish connections with his receivers, and Grant appears to be someone that he trusts. Denver is middle of the pack when it comes to guarding opposing wide receivers. They ranked 15th overall. Grant hasn't been the most consistent over his 5-year career, however his recent re-emergence makes him a sneaky wide receiver for play with high upside on a great Dolphins team. Coming up next is a player who I've talked about ad nauseum, as have many other fantasy analysts out there. If you don't know by now, Saints Swiss Army knife Taysom Hill will be starting at quarterback for the team in a shocking move over Jameis Winston. Now, Sean Payton has since refuted the claim, but I believe Hill will be, in fact, under center against the Falcons on Sunday. Now, the question here isn't should you start Taysom Hill at your tight end position if you can. If you have that luxury in ESPN leagues, take it and start him over all other options besides Travis Kelce. The question is, should you start Taysom Hill at your quarterback position? The Falcons defense currently ranks at the worst among opposing quarterbacks in the league. They're the worst, and Hill loves to run the ball. Just last week, he ran 8 times for 45 yards, and the week before that, 7 times for 54 yards. If Hill is going to provide fantasy owners with a rushing floor along with his throwing ceiling, he could very well be a top 10 option. If he does officially get the start, I think Hill needs to be started over other options such as Joe Burrow, Derek Carr, Carson Wentz, Matthew Stafford, and Ryan Tannehill. Last up here is another quarterback and the surefire comeback player of the year, Alex Smith of the Washington football team. Last week against the Detroit Lions, Smith threw the ball 55 times, which, believe it or not, and it was a shock to me, was a career high for him. That honestly blows my mind. That enough should give fantasy owners a reason to consider starting Smith as a possible streamer this week versus the Cincinnati Bengals, who are currently ranked 26th among opposing quarterbacks this season. Now, while almost half of those passes were dump-offs to either Antonio Gibson or J.D. McKissic, Smith could easily have 3 touchdown passes this game without having to sling it deep. While I wouldn't recommend starting him over the aforementioned Taysom Hill, Smith is a great option for those in desperate need of a quarterback this week, especially with Josh Allen on a bye.